We're going into the newspaper review, still looking at stories, but joining us on the line at this time is Kabando wa Kabando. It's a Lest We Forget session, and we're having it earlier today because we are saying we cannot forget about some of these things. We will not allow them to go under the table, and we start that conversation at this time. Kabando, good morning.
Good morning to you all.
I hope you're doing well.
We are doing fine, and thanks to God.
Karibu sana. We're getting into this conversation at this hour because, Kabando, there are so many things that are happening in the country at the moment. Yesterday, we saw the beginnings of what will be dissatisfaction established or shown, and it will be frustration that is then made very overt, and that the people of the country are saying we will not allow this to continue, that we have not forgotten, and that unfortunately some of the things that we were complaining about a year ago, we still have those things happening today. Albert Ojwang's story is front and center. We also are remembering that there are two gentlemen from Tot who were abducted and then they were killed, and a post-mortem has shown that they went through some blatant torture, but they cannot be forgotten. And so we're getting into a place where we're saying, lest we forget, these are the realities of our times. And I guess the first question that we start with you this morning, Kabando, is that, are we making too much noise?
Thank you very much, and I really appreciate this conversation. Let me say that if we were to look back where you're coming from, without concentrating too much on history, because this is lest we forget, is to ask the main question: are we still a constitutional state? And is Constitutional Kenya 2010 that ushered a new dawn still applicable, and is the rule of law still being followed? If you go back many, many years before the Gen Zs were born, there was a time when a minister spoke very dangerously, and the following day we lost Bishop Alexander Mugi of Eldoret. And the minister then, Peter Benga Okondo from Busia, out of public pressure, was made to resign. And he never recovered from that resignation because he had warned that Alexander Mugi, who was a very outspoken Anglican cleric and very bold pro-people bishop, died the following day because he said he wouldn't leave Busia alive. And unfortunately, on his way back from Busia, because he dared him, he vanished in a very suspicious accident. Okondo resigned, and he was a pioneer Kenyan in many fronts. Remember, in 1990, Kenyans, out of anger, there were demonstrations, particularly led by the University of Nairobi, then across the country because of the murder of then outspoken and eloquent Dr. Robert Ouko, Minister for Foreign Affairs.
Yes.
The closest confidant to Daniel Moi, then President of Kenya, the so-called Toto man, was Nicholas Biwott. He was picked and he was, detained for some time. Whether the whole problem was resolved to date is another question. But remember, Biwott was the strongest minister in Moi's cabinet. But Moi had to submit, to yield to public pressure and put him in. Fast forward to Kibaki period. I remember Minister for Finance, David Mwiraria, and another minister, Kiraito Morongi then, and another minister, Moses Wetangula. They stepped aside when there were allegations on Golden Bag, agro-leasing, the sale of like Regency, then Grand Regency Hotel, and the sale of Kenyan embassy in Japan. Ministers who are very strong and very in the cabinet. Now, that was in the old constitution. A new constitution was enacted in 2010, and we have main pillars of Bill of Rights and leadership and integrity dispensation within our current constitution. So what one can summarize, the very fact that there have been demonstrations, there have been censures in the Senate, however feeble, there have been censure in the National Assembly, however feeble, but unanimity everywhere in newsroom editorials, newspapers, radios, televisions, social media, and children, not children, Gen Zs, millennials, the children of Kenya have come out yesterday and the day before. The fact that Eliud Lagat, the Deputy Inspector General of Police, is still in office today is a citation or a loud, embarrassing statement of the continued and escalating impunity in Kenya. Remember, the killing of the extrajudicial killing of Albert Omondi Ojwang is something that has been so loud globally and so angrily stated across the Republic of Kenya, in addition to very other many killings that have happened recently of a cleric from Nyandarua and another one from Marakwet, and nothing is happening, and others that have also happened in Turkana and other parts. It is a statement that would easily mean that the cartel of impunity is increasingly getting rooted in Kenya, and the restlessness that we are witnessing in this country.
Kabando, I have to, I'm sorry I have to ask you though, that because to the mind, to any normal mind, when you see the happenings that we have seen, I mean, not just even over months, over the last 7 days, or even 6 days, 5 days, whereby Albert Ojwang's death, his murder, has taken the nation front and center. But you know what? There are two gentlemen who were abducted, who taught, and who then turned up dead and had been dismembered. And an autopsy has shown that they were tortured literally to death. These things are happening concurrently. The cries from Kenyans are happening, and we are reading a budget and we are talking about giving audience to musicians at State House, and we're talking about instituting an IEBC. We are just going on as business as usual. Is it normal that the soul of the country is crying, and the leadership who has a responsibility and an opportunity to actually mend these wrongs seems to make statements but not do anything necessarily about it? Is that normal? And that should governance just continue, administration just continue as though nothing were happening?
It is completely abnormal. It's extraordinary, and you can say even unprecedented. We have seen, many such impunities and the desperations that have ensued after, and even sometimes the resistance to remedy situations like those. But what this means is that we are now on the edge of a failed state. I know one would easily judge or say that would be an extreme statement, that we are still a country, but I'm saying the fact that there is nothing being done, the fact that these extrajudicial killings are increasing on a daily basis, and they're piling up on even cases that are already being protested, and that nothing is happening. The minister or the cabinet secretary in charge of it area comes to national parliament to just show bravado. And the fact that even leaderships in parliament, like yesterday you had the leader of minority in the National Assembly shamelessly asking those who are protesting or raising grievances because of Albert Ojwang to go and kill their sons and mourn them. You know, the kind of shamelessness and immaturity that's happening is extraordinary. It is obnoxious. It's completely abnormal. And so, what one would easily see, you know, when people lose trust, and that trust is really evidently lost on public institutions. The fact that the Directorate of Criminal Investigations says this thing, then the OCS, Officer Commanding Station at the Central Police Station, the police station at the capital in the center of Nairobi City, says a different thing. The Communication Authority of Kenya says a different thing. The institution in charge of all the communications and the data distribution and then the premier mobile company in Kenya, telephone mobile company, Safaricom, says a different thing. Then you have the Inspector General of Police says another different thing. You know, what does that mean? If the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, the National Police Service, the Department of Interior in the Office of the President, in Parliament, the leadership of the National Assembly says a different thing, and then the majority leader in the Senate says another different thing, which was now, positively in the support of the Inspector General of Police, Eliud Langat, stepping aside. And the fact that it took over 48 hours for the President of the Republic of Kenya to speak, and that to date, even this morning, 4 days over, on the 5th day, the culprit himself has not made any move or even a statement. This means, and then the witnessing of what happened yesterday, you saw young men, young ladies in Kenya, mostly I would say the youth, coming out and daring police in all ways possible in defense of Kenyan and others who have been killed. In this particular case, domiciling on the case of Albert Ojwang, means that we are losing it completely. We are losing
Kabando, when we talk about the case of Albert Ojwang, it's just one of the many cases that we continue to record in the country. As you rightfully said, there has been a semblance of silence even from the top office in the land. It took several days for the President of the Republic to give a statement. But that notwithstanding, Kenyans are asking for justice, that the man who's been adversely mentioned, DIG Lagat, should step aside. But nothing seems to be happening, even in the papers today. It is said that he will be questioned as the last person, yet he is the prime suspect in this matter. And Kenyans are asking, if we can't trust the police to take care of us and to protect us, then where do we go to, Kabando?
The case of Albert Ojwang easily reflects the case of Steve Biko in South Africa. The one who was tortured, the civil rights leader, against apartheid in South Africa, who was tortured in police cells. And the case at Central Police, again, reminds us of the colonial era arrest of Harry Duku, after whose name the road at between the National Theatre and the Central Police station is named. Where do we go to if we have no trust in the president? And it is clearly evident that across the country people are very angry with the President Ruto because of incompetence and the donkey attitude with his ministers and the surrogates within the parliament who are even dismissing Kenyans who are protesting, asking, go kill your children, then you can mourn them. They can't understand. They have lost it. They are now swimming in the grafts, extrajudicial killings and impunity oceans. They are so oiled in the ocean of insensitivity to the extent that they will dare us that, yes, they are dead, they have been killed, but that is nothing. It is not a national issue. I dare say this, and I know it is the feeling of many. At least consequent to what we are hearing and seeing. When people lose faith in the president, who is a symbol of national unity and the symbol of the sovereignty of the Republic of Kenya, and when people see the tools and instruments in the content and in the spirit and in the letter, the Constitution of Kenya being abrogated, disregarded with impunity, when people see the security forces that are supposed to protect them are even killing them more, hurting them more. Last evening we had so many young people who were taken to Pagadi and Kenyatta Hospital because they had bullets in their legs, they had been injured. When people reach the edge of the cliff and you push them to the very edge, you're on a precipice. People will only turn back, and that's what they are doing now. They will turn back, try to push you back, because another inch of push from you will drown them beyond the cliff, and that means they will just vanish. We are now at a time and at a stage, at a situation when Kenyans may apply extra constitutional methods to redeem and protect themselves. That is the scenario, and this is something that is very likely. It has been stated within Parliament. I saw it. I saw and I heard it in the Senate and National Assembly. We have seen it in the situation rooms like yours, in the SpiceFM and other fora. We are hearing even summons within places of worship. People now talking more broadly about the helplessness, the desperation that Kenyans have. They have no trust in the governance institutions. Look at how the Independent Police Oversight Authority, IPOA, the chair gave a very loud presence, just folding his hands as the policemen were just giving contradictory statements, even talking about how the victim, Juang, was hitting his head on the wall. The IPOA was just standing there. The following day, the vice chair of IPOA was giving another statement in Parliament. Then, within 24 hours, the police and the IPOA were giving different statements. This institution that is supposed even to now be investigating these crimes across of Albert Omondi Ojwang and others is a tool by the president himself, and even the composition of these national commissions, both the National Police Service Commission, the Independent Police Oversight Authority, even the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. They are now reacting. They are not responding to public pressure and the public interest. People are in a situation where it will be legitimate. I don't want to add my volume. It will be legitimate for Kenya to do a Burkina Faso. And to get this whole political class out of the way, if redemption and security and safety and prosperity of Kenya would mean the custody of the Constitution of Kenya being in the hands of people who will have removed surrogates, machineries of graft, and agents of extrajudicial killings, it is even godly to imagine and achieve that particular goal.
Kabando, thank you very much. And I think that, we always say that sometimes we say we're looking for solutions. Which way should we actually go? But in this case, you've said it. If that is a decision that will not be taken, then it's obvious that the direction in which it's going might have to just play itself out. Thank you for joining us on Lest We Forget this morning. We look forward to another one with you in the coming days. Asante sana.
Thank you very much, and keep up the great work. You speak for the voiceless, and your platform is very useful to getting the conversation going positively for Kenya.
Kabando, thank you so much. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.